Everyone, it's Jake at Jake's Metal Chat. Hope you're all well and welcome to episode 44 of my Metal Vault, where I will be exploring and showing you my favorite albums within heavy metal to thrash metal to death metal, black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, folk metal, you name it, all of that excellent stuff. As well as talking about the album that I have picked, I will also be talking about the bands, a brief history, and any releases leading up to the album in question. And looking at the album now and the band that made this album an absolute banger, a classic within thrash metal. And these guys are from Germany. I love my German thrash. This is the band out of the big four that I have seen the most of. This is Kreator. They formed in the year of 1982. They were under the name Tormentor, but before that, they were under another name called Metal Militia. And that name, I don't see any releases from them. But as Tormentor, they did release some demos, and they did a split in 2023, so last year, before changing it to the name that we know. And the album I have, I mean, I saw these guys at Bloodstock 2011 the first time, and they played a lot from this album, and just been instantly hooked since then. And the band themselves just know how to make awesome, awesome music, awesome thrash metal. And the album that I have for you by them, so once again, this is Kreator. This is their second album from 1986, Pleasure to Kill. And what an absolute aggressive album this is. There's the guys in the back. And the songs, and of course, this is a re-release of the album because it has their Flag of Hate EP, which came out after the album. And that EP, man, what a sick EP. So we got a CD here, the cover of Flag of Hate. And I will show the artwork for the album itself there again. And of course, a band picture. So we have a Melee on vocals and guitar. There he is. Ventor on drums and vocals. Rob on the bass. And there's a Wolf on the guitar. The only two members in this band that are still going is Melee and Ventor. Also got some lyrics right here. And more lyrics over here. And I believe some band pictures here. And then a full band picture once again of them there. Like I said, this is the band I've seen the most out of the four. The only one I haven't yet to see is Sodom, who I have mentioned in this series. I've seen Tankard once and Destruction once, so the band I've seen the most is Kreator, and are my favorite of the big four of German thrash. Because, well, I'll get into the whole, the guitars and everything else. But let's talk about the band. So, formed in 1982, just to recap what I said, under the name of Metal Militia, but then changed. So that was from 82. Then they were called Tyrant before that. And then 1982 to 1984, they were called Tormentor, before changing it to Kreator. And, because they already had music out under the name of Tormentor, which I think half of the songs I'm just looking from when they were tormented. So I think some of the songs from the tormented demos ended up on their first album, Endless Pain. Just have a look. Yep, Cry War. Just to name one of them. And that's an excellent album as well, because on that album, Ventor and Millet take it in turns doing vocals. So Ventor does all the odd numbers and Millet does all the even numbers. But on this one, for Pleasure to Kill, their second studio album released by Noise Records, which I don't think are still active. I thought they were, didn't think they were still going. Some record labels that I talked about are no longer going, but these guys are still going strong, and they've released everything from obviously Kreator to Bathory, Celtic Frost, just to name a couple. And for this album, obviously Millet does all of pretty much, well, does 5 out of the songs, but Ventor does 3 of them. Tracks 3, 5, and 8. Millet 2, 4, 6, 7, and 9. And they accompany each other very well. Because I do love Ventor's vocals on the tracks. When I get to them, I'll tell you which one it is. If you've heard this album, then you know how awesome, just how sick and aggressive this is. Yeah, this band, if you ever get a chance to see them live, do it, because they are incredible live. And this album is one of my absolute favorites within thrash metal. One of my favorites of theirs, and of course I mentioned logos. Love that logo. And the artwork is absolutely it's just awesome. Look at it. And the artwork was done by Phil Lawver. I think I said the name after Law right. Not only has he done the artwork for Kreator's second album, this one, and also their first album, Endless Pain, and also Terrible Certainty, he also did Celtic Frost, Emperor's Return EP, and Morbid Tales artwork for a compilation with Emperor's Return, and then so both of those artworks there. Hyrax, Immortal Legacy from 2014, Halloween, Dr. Stein, as well as various other bands. Rage, just to name one more right there. And just to check where he's from again, from California. As for the remastering, Millet, obviously the guitarist and vocalist of the band, did the the remastering here. For the engineering, that was Harris Johns, who was in a band back in the day, no longer now, but as well as doing this album, he's done Amon Amarth for the Wrath of the Norseman video, Assassin, Celtic Frost, Corner, who went on tour these guys back in the day, Enthroned, Fallen Angels, Exhumer, Gravedigger, Grinder, Halloween, Holy Moses, Immolations, Dawn of Possession. So he did that one. Just countless bands, just to name one more that I'll know. There's quite a few I don't know that well. Pestilence, Consuming Impulse, Sepultura, Arise single, as well as an EP and video. Under Siege live in Barcelona. Sodom, Persecution Mania, Agent Orange, Better Off Dead, Tap in the Vein, Till Death Do Us Unite, Code Red, M16, just to name those albums. Tankard, as I mentioned before, now a German thrash metal band. Therion, Voivod, and Whiplash, just to name a couple more there. So we're in very good hands. And of course, there's various others who've done like the artwork, the layout, photographs. But let's get on with the album. That's why you are watching this video. You want to hear about the album. For anyone into thrash metal, you're looking for something new, definitely this. Because what I got from the German thrash metal bands, it's much more aggressive, it's much more harsher, it's much more raw. And this album does not disappoint on any of that. And cheers. Now let's talk about this album, because obviously it's got the bonus tracks. But like I mentioned, the EP, that's also a really great EP, Flag of Hate. With those 3 tracks, so Flag of Hate, Take Their Lives, and Awakening of the Gods. And let's get on to the proper, let's get on to the main album itself. So we got, let me just get the album up here, so I don't have to keep looking here. But so we got Chorus of the Damned, which is a great instrumental opener to the album. So we've got the guitars, a little bit of synth in there, and then it goes straight into Ripping Corpse. Just a great start to the album. Very aggressive song right there. And then on to Death Is Your Savior. Very much the same, an aggressive song. And the song that got me into this band, and it is the title track of the album, Pleasure to Kill, just starts off with the drumming, it's like with Ventil's drumming, and then just an onslaught of guitars and vocals. Because Mille's vocals and his vocals are just absolutely nasty on this album. Absolutely nasty. Same with Ventil's as well, but Mille, like that really harsh, raspy, nasty, snarly thrash metal vocals. I love that. That's why I love this album and love bands like Kreator. Of course, like I said, Ventil did tracks 3, 5, and 8. So track 3, Death Is Your Savior, he did vocals for that. Track 5 is another one with Ventil's vocals as well as his drumming. Riot of Violence. And I love this song. Just because I was listening to it again this morning and just you know, singing half of these songs. And I love the live version of them in East Berlin, 1990. Because his performance of that song live is just something else. And then from that absolutely aggressive song, you get another one with, and this is the longest one on the album. And it goes back to Mille for the vocals here. The Pestilence. Nasty, nasty song. But I mean that in such a good way. You know, when I say nasty and sick, it's a good sign that that is a phenomenal album. With the Pestilence, just another onslaught of a song right there. And Mille's vocals like getting there as the end where he says you will die in hell is screams are absolutely incredible on that song. The whole album itself is just an onslaught of just pure nasty thrash metal. And then we got Carrion, just continuing on. Still got Mille's vocals on there. So like I say, he did tracks 2, 4, 6, 7, and 9. And then straight from Carrion. So from that one, just another piece of awesome thrash metal. To then Command of the Blade. So back for the last time with Ventil on vocals. Just carrying it on from there. So Mille, so you can imagine just Mille taking a break and then there's Ventil doing the vocals. So he's just focusing on the guitar there. And then just to end it all off with another absolute banger of a classic thrash metal song, Under the guillotine, under the guillotine. Just a fantastic way to end such an already fantastic album right there. There's a reason why this became one of my favorite thrash metal albums, because just the sheer amount of just guitar work, bass work, drumming, the vocals. That's why, like I mentioned, I mean, because when you listen to thrash metal, like normally it's more like cleaner vocals, but still like shouting types of vocals. But once you get to something like this, it's more borderline like the early black metal scene, like with like bands like Bathory, so like the more aggressive style vocals. And of course, a lot of these bands would have been around the same time as Bathory, forming around the same time. These guys definitely. And I love that more harsher type of vocals. So it's like shouty, screamy type of stuff right there, and it's just a proper powerhouse right there. And I use that, yeah, a powerhouse of an album, one that will still go down as one of the, in my opinion, one of the best thrash metal albums. And this album was, like I said, it was released on Noise Records. It's released on the 1st of April 1986. So it's 2024 now. So this album is 38 years old. This album was released back in April of this year. 38 years old. It turned 38 years old on the 1st of April last month, obviously. 38 years down the line, still standing the test of time. And of course, there have been a lot of other bands that I've listened to that have taken influence from Kreator. And for good reason, because the band's incredible. Like I said, they did the Flag of Hate EP from that same year. That came out in August of 86. And these guys have been going strong, just constantly just playing, like, just bringing out aggression, playing shows. And I always love to hear songs from this album live, because I did see him first time, obviously, Bloodstock 2011. Then I've seen him in Bristol a bunch of times. Bloodstock again. Download 2018. Got in the pit from there, and as soon as Pleasure to Kill came on, I was in that circle pit. You cannot stand still for this band. Or any band like them, really, unless you're like, moshing's not your thing. Just headbanging until your neck starts to hurt, And it's one of those albums, it's a headbanging album. It's an aggressive album, and I mean, I've heard a lot of aggressive thrash metal albums, death metal albums, black metal albums, doom metal albums, and sludge. I mean, sludge metal is really quite aggressive as well. But this is pretty much the epitome of that. And if you've not heard of Kreator, you are brand new to metal, and you are and you got into thrash metal. You're probably a new thrash metal fan out there, and you're trying to find bands that are just pure, nasty, aggressive thrash. Look no further than this band. And if you have come across this band and it is this album, you're off to a good start, because this is just some of the best thrash metal I've heard. Because I got into thrash metal back in in secondary school. So this is years when I was still at school. Obviously not anymore. Just hearing bands like Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, and then obviously around the same time listening to Black Sabbath and Motorhead and Judas Priest, um, Iron Maiden, but then been progressing from there, like got into death metal, got into black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, and I got into folk metal. Like I think like months after I left school, or at least a year after I left school. And obviously still trying to find more bands within the genres that I've already gotten into. And I was looking at thrash metal, of course, found Sodom and found these guys along the way. This is, like I said, this is my favorite style of thrash, German thrash metal. Like my favorite style of death metal. Obviously, I love Swedish death metal. So I love Swedish death metal and German thrash metal. But then I love thrash metal from America. I love thrash metal here. I love thrash metal in other parts of Europe. Same with death metal here, America, and other parts of Europe, and the other genres that I listen to. And definitely, in terms of like my favorite thrash metal albums ever, this has to be at the top. I got a lot more, but this is definitely right at the top. And for the reasons that I'm going to say, because usually I do these conclusions, and they're always going to remain the same, but obviously it might change depending on the album. But this is definitely an aggressive, raw, intense classic piece of thrash metal. It's thrash metal history. It's thrash metal gold. And that all important word that I say in this series is a timeless masterpiece. Same for the other albums that I will be mentioning that I'm looking at this page here right now. They're one of the bands I'll be talking about 2 albums, and then next band will just be the one album. But again, I will say timeless masterpiece because that is the word for the series, for the when I come to my conclusions, like my overall opinions on the albums that I pick. And obviously there is no question that this is a timeless masterpiece. Like I mentioned with the 3 Metallica albums I mentioned with all Cliff Burton, those will always stand the test of time because they're absolute classics. And this is an absolute timeless masterpiece, an absolute classic. And if you don't know this album, you need to have this album in your life because it is just one of the absolute best. The sheer amount of aggression throughout the entire album, but like all the songs. So big well done to all the guys from Kreator here, Ventor, Millet, and of course to Rob, who played bass. Wolf was not actually playing on the album. I think he came in afterwards, but I'm pretty sure he was not on the Flag of Hate EP, but I think he came in afterwards. I want to say, unless he wasn't everyone on here. That's the other thing I need to figure out. No, he was only guitarist for that year, so I think did live shows with him afterwards after his album was done, and then left and went on to do other bands. But I think this was actually looking him up now. He was in Sodom. He was on their first album from the same year, Obsessed by Cruelty. Of course, he sadly passed in 1993. So rest in peace to him. And one more time, just to say what I've said. I've got to say as well, it's heavy, it's raw, it's intense. Classic piece of thrash metal here, thrash metal history, and of course an absolute banger and a timeless masterpiece, and it will remain that for Well, 2 years from now, it'll be 40. 40 years of thrash metal nearly. So 38 years so far. Definitely one for all of you out there who are more into thrash metal. If you love your thrash metal, this is definitely one for you. Kreator and Pleasure to Kill. And be sure to check out their first album as well, because that is also an absolute classic there. And that is it for another episode of my Metal Vault. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're more of a thrash metal maniac, because there's those out there who love thrash more than any other genre, and that's totally fine. And same with black metal. They might just like black metal. Others might just like death metal, heavy metal, or just sludge or folk metal. Just whatever your preference, that's what you like the most. I mean, I'm more into my death metal and folk metal, but I also love my thrash, and that is definitely one of the reasons why I love thrash. And there's going to be a lot more like that down the line in this series, because I got so many more albums to flick through, like this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And of course, the 46th episode that I got after the 45th one is another album, the 46th episode I'm talking about here. That album is also from 86. And it's an album that you definitely should have in your collection. And you should know the band and the album as well. So, to everyone that has been watching my videos for a while and been watching this series and also my other videos and been supporting my channel, welcome back. I need to say this at the start of the videos. Welcome back to my channel and also to the series. Thank you for all that support. Don't think I don't appreciate it, because I do. I appreciate all your support, and it means a lot to any newcomers. I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoy my content on my channel and this series overall. And to all of you, don't forget to like this video, share it around, comment down below if you've heard this album. What, even if you heard it back in the day, I'd like to actually hear from you. To all you veterans out there who heard it back in the day, what was your overall opinion of it? What was your overall well what did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you not into it at first? Maybe on your first go you probably weren't into it, but then like maybe on your second go you were just totally into it, or were you totally into it from the start? And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to keep up with everything that I have coming up, not just for this series, but for all the other videos I need to do. I still need to do another death metal albums, favorite death metal albums. I did my collection update very recently. The favorite metal underground releases. I also have a video from a band, my mate's band. They played Saturday and Sunday, but I got footage of them from the Sunday, so that'll be uploaded at some point. And I'm obviously off to Bridgewater tomorrow for the Saturday of Southwest Heavy Fest. So anyone watching this now, I'll see you there. I've been Jake of Jake's Metal Chat. Thank you very much for watching this episode of my Metal Vault. Keep the banner of metal held high. And also, once again, I will see you all in the next one of my Metal Vault.